Hey guys, it's Maymay, and guess what? My bins are filling up again. If you don't know, this is how I store, I'll show you, this is the white one here. This is how I store my scraps. These are storage bins. We carry these in our store. They slide into your shelving, and I love them because they hold so many scraps so easy. And because I put them in my shelf, I can just slide scraps in right here because it's got, you know, it's kind of cut down a little bit for me to do that. But look, it's filling up again. And recently we did a Stash Buster series where I emptied a bunch out. So today we're going to do some more. I want to show you 3 different projects you can do and empty your stash at the same time. So first and foremost, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take all of my scraps out. And this, I don't necessarily recommend you do that. I'm not going to take them all out. We'll take a good old stack of them out. Then I'm going to show you what my plan is. So when I talk to you about what scraps to save, I always say, save scraps you can stamp or punch. You know, as long as you have a stamp small enough and a punch small enough to stamp it, save it. Other than that, let it go. You're going to have enough scraps. Don't stress, okay? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run through here and look at scraps. We're going to evaluate them. I'm going to keep my ruler handy because here's what I'm looking at. I want to make anything that will go 4 1/4. I'm going to put in one pile. Why do you think I want to do that? Because that's A2 card size. Anything that won't go 4 1/4, I want to decide on 2 different piles, okay? One of those piles being sentiment strips, and one of those piles being tags. Now, here's the thing about tags. Tags can be any size, shape, style, form. It does not matter. So could I use this for tags? Yes, because I could cut it in half and make a thin tag or even a bookmark. Maybe you're a bookmark maker. Let's put this aside for bookmarks. Let's add a 4th category, okay? So I'm going to run through this pile and look. Now, this guy right here is already perfect for a focal point or a sentiment for a card. I'm going to leave him there. Do you ever have scraps like that? Like you were going to use it and then you didn't? Look at this. This is a sentiment square. Perfect, right? This one is good for sentiment. It could be a bookmark. It could go on a bookmark. I may put it in the bookmark pile. This guy, anything I want it to be. Now, something else I want you to think about. When you're making your cards, okay, sometimes you need background pattern like this. What's on the other side? Oh, this is from our masculine stash busting, so scrap I had left over. Sometimes you want patterns for your cards. So when you have a piece like this, maybe put that in the card pile. Like I'm going to use that for the cards we're going to make. So here's a piece of orange. Let's measure it. That's 4 1/2. I'm going to put that in cards because I know I can use it there. Here's another one of those pink pieces. I'll add it there. So this piece is not big enough to be cards as I have in mind. Of course, it can be used on cards, but it is big enough for tags. So I'm going to go ahead and make myself a tag pile right here. And then let's look at this guy. As long as I can get 4, see that? As long as I can get 4, that can go for A2 cards. So these feel like they're all 4s. These are from folios. I know what these scraps are from because I don't know if I've told you this before. The reason I have a lot of this color scrap is because whenever I'm making folios, I use, when I'm doing templates or when I'm doing tester folios, I use cardstock that is not a color I typically craft with. So that way when I buy like multi-packs of cardstock or whatever, I can find a use for those. So you'll always see me using these kinds of things in my testing. All right, so these are lots of 4-inch pieces. So we'll put this one over here, all for card making. All right, look at this piece. I think this is a good one for card making because I know I can get my size out of it. I also want to mention while I'm doing this that you might think about folios at the same time. Now look, this one has a little cutout of it, and I think I could use that as it is. And since it does, I'm going to add it here and turn that into something in and of itself. Do I want to put this here? Nope, I'm going to put it in the tag pile. This one the same. Now, you may not do this, but many times when I use this side of a cardstock page, instead of putting it back into the pack, I'll just put it in my scraps, especially if I only have this much left. But it leaves me with these little guys that I can use for something. These would be super cute to use on a card, so I'm going to put that in the card pile. All right, you kind of see where I'm going, right? That's a good bookmark. That's a good tag. This piece has got a little cutout on it. I'm going to put it here and see if I can put that to use, right? This one has a cutout, but it is messed up, so I won't do that. This piece being so large, I will not process today. It'll stay in the bin. Sometimes when I have a piece like that I can cut off over and over and over again, I'll just keep it in the bin. All right, this one I'm going to put in the tag pile. It's a good width for that. This guy, look, I don't know. I think he feels like he could be a card background. I'm going to put him there. This piece also too large for me to use today. I'm going to put that back in bin because I typically cut that one down a good bit. Look, bookmark, too large. See, this one's too large. So do that. Run through, break everything apart. This pile of pieces I pulled from my bin that holds my colored and pattern papers to get pieces for sentiment strips, okay? Now that's what I also want to do in my white scraps. I haven't gone through the white scraps yet, but let me show you something else you can do when you're breaking your white scraps apart. Remember how I told you could think about folios as well? So I have some pretty large pieces in here. Not super, super large, but some pretty large pieces. And what I can do with these is go through and see, are these pieces I can use for photo mats in folios? You guys know we put place photo here and the size of the photo that we need to put in the folio mats or in the folios for photos. You can break them out as well. When your bin gets too full, just pull out the pieces that'll fit for that. Go ahead, cut them down, go ahead and stamp them, put them away, and you have them pre-made and ready for your next folio, and you're cleaning out your bins at the same time, okay? But for me today, for the project I'm gonna do, I wanna look at some that are tags or bookmarks or cards, right? So these are good for tags. I'm gonna sit those over there. And I'm really looking for some tiny pieces. And I don't mean like minuscule, but let me show you what I'm looking for. Let's see if we can get in here. This is a good one. You know how many times I tell you save these pieces for sentiments? This is what I'm looking for. I have a lot of this size in here, and it's because we cut a lot of photo mats and we make a lot of tags, and sometimes we just have leftovers or pieces we cut incorrectly we'll throw into this bin and we'll use it. See, here's a good piece for sentiment. You can just keep going. Look at this piece. It's one I can use. It's just a scrap. All right, so I'm going to start here. Sentiments here. I'm going to add this to my tag pile from earlier. And now, let me show you this. First, I want to make sure I tell you this about this process. This is not an as many as situations. I know a lot of times we like to challenge ourselves to get as many as from a process as we can get. This is not that. This is my bin is too full, okay? So what I want to do right now is I want to go in here and find those pieces that were cut aparts. Remember I told you I had a couple in here I had saved that had a couple of cut aparts on them? I'm going to go ahead and cut those down. See that? It was just these two that I had, but I'm going to go ahead and cut these apart. Breaking in here to ask you to hit that red subscribe button. It's free. Also hit the bell button beside it. You can help me reach my big goal this year of 400,000 subscribers. Okay, back to crafting. So the day I'm filming this is the day before World Card Making Day, which means you're watching it on World Card Making Day. And let's say today you don't really have a card you need to make or somebody to make a card for, but you would like to get into the craft room. This is a good reason to do it. Go clean out your scrap bin. You don't even have to complete a project today. Just kind of go through your scrap bin and see what you've got and see what you can get ready for upcoming cards and bookmarks and things like that. Just kind of do some prep work. Now, I could save this, but I'm not. This is one of those pieces that I'm not going to force myself to use. There's no need. There's plenty of places for it, and it's completely usable, but I don't need it, so I'm not going to force myself. I'm going to keep cutting these guys apart. So my cut aparts are ready. Let's go to those larger pieces that I found. This piece here, it's a pretty large piece. I'm going to cut this designer strip off of it, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this into two pieces that are 5 1/4 long, okay? And I'll show you why I've chosen this. 5 1/4. You know that sounds like an A2 card, right? An A2 card is 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. And when we cut our pieces down, we always cut them down to 5 1/4 by 4 so we can have that matte edge. These pieces, even though they are not 4 inches, do you see this? They're a little shy of 4 inches. These can still be used on A2 cards. So that's what I'm going to do with that A2 stack. I'm going to prep it the best way I can. So this guy I know I can get 4 inches out of, but I can't get, I can get 5 1/4 out of this one because it is 5 1/4. See that? So when I cut this down, now I have a perfect A2 card base background. I'm going to put him in a separate pile because this guy's not 4 by 5 1/4 and that guy is. So I'm going to put him in a separate pile here. There's a lot of talking in this video, and I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. I'm going to turn this one this way. The first thing I'm going to do is cut the little hole away that comes with the packaging. So let's go ahead and cut that away. Then I'm going to turn it around and see how wide I can cut it because of my little dent. Oh, look, I can get 4 inches. I just got it. I'll put that here in my new little pile. And then I'm going to see if I can get 5 1/4. And I can. Look, it's a card base, or it's a card background. Does it kind of make sense now what I'm saying? What was a scrap is now a card background because I'm processing it. This piece can totally be used with this card background like this, with a sentiment, and it's a card. So we're going to keep those together. These guys, not 4 inches. They're too shy for 4 inches. So I'm going to cut them down to 5 1/4 and put them in that pile that's not quite 4 inches. And I'll find a way to use those. So let me show you something fun. As I'm cutting, I noticed something. So I was able to get this piece to 4 1/4 by 5 to 4 by 5 1/4. Then this piece wouldn't go there, but look how it matches. Okay, it wouldn't quite get long enough, but you see that? And then this little scrap was also in the pile, and both sides, it came from the same paper pack. Look how I can mix these together to get a card base here. I will probably cut this down a little bit, but make this a card. Isn't that neat how you can do that as you're going? I'm just kind of designing as I go. Now, that's not really the process for today. That was not my plan. My plan was just to process some things down and see what sizes I could get out of them. But if you can design as you go, do. Look, I can get 5 1/4 out of this one. So I can use this guy in the same way. And then these guys, let's see what size this one is. That one's a little shy, but I think I can get either 4 or 4 1/4. Ooh, it is 4 1/4. So I'm going to hang on to that one just like that. So now I'm going to grab some pre-made card bases. I've got black and white because I think that'll work. I'm out of craft bases, so I need to stock those back up. But I'm not going to cut paper today. This is a scrap busting day, so we're going to see what we can do with black and white. Let's start with white. I'm going to go ahead and fold this and crease it down. These card bases got a little bent in my drawer. I'm a little sad, but we're going to use them because they'll flatten out over time. So I got 3 here. We'll start with that. Now remember in this pile we were working earlier and we felt like we'd already put some cards together. Let's go back there. Look at this one. Isn't this cute? 2 different paper packs just piled up in my scraps and they work great together. So let's see. I know some of you guys are not going to like my messy screen today, so focus here, okay? So check this out. This piece I cut and it sinks in perfectly, okay? Then this piece will lay here. Let's go look at the pieces we cut to be sentiment strips, or we pulled out to be sentiment strips, and see what we can use here. So remember I went into my pile of the white, and look, I could put this across. I could put a little sentiment here. That would be really cute. I kind of like that idea, to kind of have one kind of in the middle, all from scraps. Now let's look at the little colored scraps we picked. This color works really well, so if I wanted to, I could mount a sentiment here, cut this out around it, and place it here and have a really cute card. Very simple with no fancy equipment. Let's do that. Now I'm not going to glue this together because I may want to do something else. I may find something that sparks my interest, but check that out. This is basically how I would lay this out. Very simple. Doesn't even have to be on that side. I could move it to this side, but that will be a card before we're done. Now let's see what else we can do from those same scraps. You guys, remember this piece I said, let's see if we can do something with it? Look at this. What if I used it here and cut it the same length as this little guy? Let's grab some scissors. Could do this on my trimmer, but still usable for sentiments. Move that back to our sentiment pile. And then look at this on here. Isn't that cute? And you know what I think? I think this might look cute if I turned it sideways, ran this up this side with this little guy here, and then we put a sentiment on. Let's see what we can do for a sentiment. How about a scrap just big enough here for this punch? And look, put a sentiment there. I could bring it over here if I wanted to. I could move that to the middle. And that one used a punch. Remember how I told you, if you can punch it or stamp it, hold on to it. So we'll put that one aside. That's 2 cards. Remember our cut-aparts that we found? Again, not even from the same paper collection, but this has just been living in my scrap bin doing nothing. That is a card. One more. This is the one we designed while we were going. I think I need to cut this one down. I didn't cut this one down quite enough. Let me do that. Then this will go here. Then we'll bring this guy over. I can use him in the middle or over to this side, either way. Then we had this piece. We'll look at both sides. This piece can go like this and hold a sentiment. Let's find a sentiment for it, or a holder for a sentiment. I kind of like that. I wasn't sure. Oh, look, that one's even better. Do you see how that color and that color kind of coordinate? We could totally put a sentiment right here. We could even put it on another piece if we wanted to, put it on white or something else. Let me see if I have a better option, because I like this color too, and it might be more coordinating. This is what you do. You just play, and you will not even believe you actually have all of this in your stash. You already have it. So I think the craft looks better. I'm going to use this one here, and I'm going to grab a punch. I'm just going to decorate up the corners. I'm not planning this out ahead of time. I'm just going to punch this with my stub punch, make it look like a little ticket, and that'll be what mounts there with the sentiment. Now let's talk about these pieces that we cut that weren't quite 4 inches wide. Let me show you what I'm going to do with those. I like these black card bases. I think whenever you have pieces that are thinner like that, this is a good way to use up your darker card bases and let your card base kind of be another color in the background. Let me show you what I mean. So here's a card base. This guy, if I wanted to, I'd probably use this side. I don't know, that side looks good too. Let's use this side. See how I can just kind of mount this in the middle, or I can move it down to one side, and then I could put a strip of something else from my scrap here. Let's see if I have a strip of something that would coordinate. See this? If I wanted this to be a masculine card, look at that. I could add that to that side, add a sentiment, and we're done. I'm going to do that. I'm going to use that one as a card too. We'll find something for the sentiment in a minute. Now let me show you this. I found this piece in the scrap bin. Look how pretty this piece is. If I put this one, say I put it over here, and I go back to those cut-aparts, which I found in my scrap bin, look, any one of these is going to work. Not even from the same paper pack. Well, not these guys. They don't match. But these are not from the same paper pack. And look how good. I really like that one. I think I'll use that one. So that is a card. So look at this. Another scrap. It's double-sided. You would have seen I used the other side a while ago. I still could use this side. I think I'm going to use this plaid here. And now I'm going to see which one of these I really like that I could like layer with it. Maybe I'll layer it like this. And this was without putting anything behind it. You can. You may have a strip like this is a really pretty, that color that came from the other paper pack. Remember, it looks like this on this side. Maybe we put this down first, and then we layer some pieces on using our scraps. Look at that. That's pretty, right? Like it's taken no effort to do this. I have this one too. What if I put this one here? I'm just playing. I'm just placing things around, and then maybe this one lays here. Something like that, so that color shows on top and bottom, and then maybe this one lays here. And look at the interest, kind of Christmassy, kind of even quilty, maybe, like think like that, like quilty. Or there's enough of this one, of this scrap, if I wanted to, I could do something like this and cover the whole card front and not waste any card. Matter of fact, let's do that. I got an idea. So what if we did this? I've got this guy here, okay? I had this piece of plaid. What if I do something to make it cute? Let's see what we can do. Okay, guys, remember I found this piece with that on it, and I was like, maybe I can figure out how to use it. What if I can run that up the side here and place it here just like this? Do I want to put a piece behind it? Let's see if we want to put something to make it pop. If we put this behind it, and then we put this down, yes, that's what we're going to do. Look at that. Super easy. So what I'm going to do is mount this together. Matter of fact, I can go ahead and glue that down. So I glued that down and trimmed it all around to fit. And I'm going to go ahead and glue this to the very back. And it's actually good because in my working, I kind of ripped that little piece. It's so funny to me that I'm doing this because I have to tell you, I want to say we did this punch on a live show where I was just showing you how a punch how this punch looked when it was punched. I never thought it would turn into a card. How funny is this? What a neat way to look at your scraps, right? And what a great way to spend World Card Making Day in your craft room using scraps. I never would have thought that this would have come from Ben. I'm going to go ahead and put this card together. I know we haven't put the others together, but we know exactly how this one's going. I'm going to go ahead and put it together. This one doesn't even need a sentiment because it says Merry Christmas on it. Of course, I'll do something to the inside. But that's another thing. If you're like, well, you're not putting anything on the inside. A lot of times when I'm doing these kinds of projects, I don't have any idea where this card is going or who's going to get it. I got to pop this up. I think that needs to be popped up. I don't know where it's going to go, so I just have them in a stash, okay? And then I can do the sentiment later when I know who I'm giving it to. Or what a great way to make cards for a ministry, for cards for kids. We have a card ministry you can be a part of. I can put that information in the description of this video. And what a great way for you to use your scraps to make cards to make people smile. Wouldn't that be awesome? Haven't cut a full sheet of paper yet. So there is a card. I think that's really cool. And look, Santa's like flying up, like he's flying off the page. So there's that one. I'm going to assemble the others and then we'll get right back together. So you guys, check this out. So we ended up with this complete card. This one is complete. Sentiments on the front, okay? Then we ended up with these guys. Look how cute these cards are. And we did not know that they were just sitting in our scrap bin, you see? Now, they don't have sentiments. I want to tell you a tip. When you're doing a day like this, when you're just breaking down cards and you're just seeing what you can get from your scrap bin, you don't have to put a sentiment on today. Next week, when you're walking around or living your life and you hear that somebody needs a card, you already have it made. You go to your craft room, you pick out the stamp for it. You either, if you're brave enough, stamp it directly on, or you just cut another little piece and that you have stamped and stick it on here, right? Or this one I didn't even put the sentiment piece on so I can build it for it. I know so many of you say to me, I have all these scraps, what do I do with them? This is a perfect way to bust your stash. On days when you just want to get in your craft room and you just want to play with your tools, this is a perfect way to do it. Now, you saw in the beginning of the video that I was breaking down those scraps for cards, for bookmarks, for tags, for sentiment strips. This is how it works, the same process. Where I turned these into cards, you would just take those scraps and do the same kind of thing and turn them into tags or bookmarks or anything else you might be wanting to use them for. I hope this has been a good way for you to see your scrap bin in a different light. So many times we think that our scrap bin has to turn into like what I call calico cards, where you think you just have to glue all your scraps together, make background paper and put it down. But you don't. Look how we were able to take things we didn't even realize were in the bin, right? Oh, I forgot a card. I even forgot one we spent the most time on. I sat him over here because he's so special and forgot to bring him back. But can you believe that? I mean, we never even got a punch out for this. It was just living in our scrap bin. I hope this will help you when you're thinking, what do I do with all these scraps I hold on to? This is a good way to do it and get yourself ahead of the game. I will tell you, having cards ready to go, it's amazing. When somebody has a birthday, when somebody has an anniversary, and you can give them a card you handmade, and especially when they came from your scraps, how much better do you feel? I think this is my favorite of the cards. I thought this one was, but I just love how this just worked itself out of the scrap bin. Tell me in the comments below, what's your favorite card? Maybe what's your favorite part of the process? What do you enjoy the most? And tell me if you've done this before. If not, get out those scrap bins and see how many cards you can make. Now again, I did not force myself to make as many as I could today. I just made as many as I had time to make, and I enjoyed the time in the craft room, and I want you to do the same. Hey, thanks so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to see me process bookmarks and tags that we've separated out, let me know in the comments below, and we'll do that as a Stash Buster video as well. Again, thanks so much for being here, and until next time, bye now.